Well, we're going to get rid of that right now.
We'll wait.
That's better.
When you've got Bryce and Kyle in the game at the same time, what goes into the dynamic of which one brings the ball up the court or initiates the offense?
Either one, because either one of them can play the point. Obviously, Kyle can play the 4 and Bryce can't. But a lot of times we'll put Bryce sometimes in an off-guard spot with Zach. And a lot of times we have 4 guards in at that time. So we got multiple guys that can bring the ball up. And we're going to need that against an Oregon team that likes to pressure. Tried getting into us a little bit up in Eugene, so we're expecting a little bit of the same. So stuff we've been working on, but I think we've got a lot of good ball handling guards. But when both of them are in the same game and at the same time, we've got a lot of versatility on who can bring the ball up.
After road losses, you guys have been able to come back and respond with big wins at home. Is that mostly a comfort thing, or what do you think is the reason for that?
No, I give the players credit because I've been there before. That's not easy when you lose and you get knocked down. Learning to win again, that's not just an automatic whether you're playing at home or you got to go play on the road. And they've been able to do it twofold. We've lost and had to go to USC and win. That was a road game. We've lost the second game of some 2-game road trips that we've had to come back at home and win. So the guys have proven that they can stay away from losing streaks, and they've got it. Here it is. They're in that situation again, and so if we go by past experiences, they've done a very good job. But it's about continuing to prove yourself, and we're getting a very good, very hungry Oregon team that's coming in here, and we had a great game with them up in Eugene, and we're fortunate to get away with the 2-point win up there. And I think this one's going to have a lot of the same to it. I think they know they're playing for a lot, we're playing for a lot, so it makes for a late February a great game.
35% of your opponent's points come from the 3-point line. I think that's like 7th most in the nation. Why do you think that is? And how have you felt about your 3-point defense?
I don't know. There's been a lot about our defense, and you bring up stats. I think we're one of only 4 or 5 teams that defensive and offensive efficiencies in the top 25. So, and I've hammered our defense a lot, but I think 4 out of the last 5 games, we weren't very good defensively at Stanford, but after watching the tape, they made a lot of shots. I guess I like our position regardless of what percentage of we're giving up, percentage of 3-point shots. I like overall defensively, other than Stanford, we've shown a lot of improvement. And to be one of only 4 or 5 teams in the country where you're ranked in the top 25, top 30 in efficiency, both offense and defense, this late in the year, that's pretty good.
With your rotations at this point in the season, do you feel like they're kind of set with having Zach and Bryce come in at that 14-minute mark right around there? Does that feel like it's a set thing, or could you still think about adjusting it?
Well, we adjust it, and we adjust it game to game depending on how those starters are flowing. We've had a couple games, trying to think at Cal, we rolled with starters for about 8 minutes in the second half. So it matters about flow. We know our players pretty well. We know how many minutes they can go in a row before production and efficiency starts to drop. And we like the combinations that we like to play. So, there's a set to it, but it's also by flow and feel as well.
In terms of the 3-point attempts, is that maybe an offense or offenses attacking the zone, especially?
The 3-point attempts that
your opponents are taking.
Yeah, I don't know. We mix zone and man. We mix some presses, so it comes down to do we want teams? To be honest with you, I think we give up too many easy ones. If we could make teams shoot more threes and take away more of the inside, I'd be much more in favor of that. Just because the percentages are going to go in our favor, because the 3-point shot. Free throws you make at a high clip, 70 or better. Layups are probably 80 or better. 3-point shots, most teams are 40 or less. So, if I had my ways, I'd just assume teams shoot 30, 35 threes against us. I think it helps our rebounding. It helps our ability to get out and run. But whether we've been in man and zone, and really we've played probably, I don't know, over the last 6, 7, 8 games, we've probably been more 70-30 man. Whether that stays the course, we'll just have to wait and see. But I've liked how our rebounding has improved. We just didn't quite do the things that I would have liked to have seen at Stanford, but I think they got very, very hot, and we just didn't handle that flow very well. But I don't think it was something where we saw our defense take 2 or 3 steps back. I think they had a lot to do with it, and we had some breakdowns as well.
with Tony Parker's quality minutes the other night, I mean, how key is that for going forward to develop that interior presence?
Well, it's been real good because obviously Dave and Travis give us pick and pop guys that can run the floor, extend defenses. They're almost like big stretch fours. The one really legit center post presence that we have is Tony, and I think the last 4 games he's just been terrific, and he's putting in the time. He's putting the time in the weight room. He's putting the time in the film room. He comes in every day looking at more tape, and we see him getting better. So we saw that early in the season, around early to mid-January, and he had a little bit of a dip, and now he's really becoming consistent with that play. And I thought the one mistake that was made, we didn't get the ball into him enough in the second half against Stanford, because he had a really good game here against Stanford, and he was on his way of having a really good game up there as well. And we just didn't get him the ball enough in the second half, and that's something we got to look at, because I think he's given us a dimension inside that we haven't had, and that's a good thing.
Is it a thing where you might want to get him more minutes, or is it you want to keep him confident with the minute he's getting right now?
Yeah, I think anytime production goes up, you want more minutes. With that said, Dave and Trav's minutes have been going up well too because of their production. Trav is producing in the last 4 or 5 games better than he's produced all season long. So there's only an X number amount of minutes. We like playing Kyle at that forward spot as well. You're looking at player, in my opinion, player of the year in this league, so his minutes aren't going down. So there's only so many minutes, but I do think Tony is playing very well, and if he continues that, I think you'll see him out there a little bit more.
Have you seen something quick for him to stay on the foul trouble?
And that's just positioning. He's watching a lot of tape, and I think it's a credit to him. He's really learning. He wants to get better, and I think that's a great trait for a player to have. So he's coming in and he's watching how other centers guard, whether it be him or the people we're getting ready to defend. He does a really good job of doing his film work and prep of how does this big like going left shoulder, does it big like going right shoulder, is a certain block that he likes to work on. Is he a back screen guy, a down screen guy, cross screen guy? He's just doing his homework, and because of that, I think he's learning. And he's been able to stay out of foul trouble for a couple of reasons. One, if guards can keep people in front, we're not getting driven as much. He's not fouling in transition, which has been something that's been good. And in the post, he's just using his strength more versus leaning on people. I think he got in trouble early in the season when he was leaning on people.
Zach had that stretch against Stanford where he had, I think it was 8 consecutive points. What did you see from him in that stretch, especially that maybe you hadn't seen?
I just thought he was aggressive. I thought he had that aggressive mentality again, and he started taking good shots. And that's I think the thing with Zach, and he's constantly learning. He's young, so he's learning what this level's all about. But he's somebody who can create a shot just about at any time in the game. But it's about creating a high percentage shot. When he shoots high percentage shots, Zach shoots at a very, very high level. Like a lot of players, if all of a sudden your shot selection is a little questionable, then it's questionable whether you make those shots. That's basketball, and I think he's learning one, how good he can be, and how it's not easy, but getting his own shot is something he can create. Not a lot of players can do that, and now it's learning, okay, I can create my own shot, but can I create my own shot into a high percentage shot? And I thought he did that against Stanford.